I only think about feet when I masturbate.
What is up, besties? Welcome back to another Catfish video. This one is crazy. It has been super duper highly requested. Let's take a moment for the hair.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, we love a girl who will pull off many styles, okay? Let's have a little commotion for the hair. I'm alive and I'm well. I just did not post last week because I had family in town visiting with me and I was gonna try and push out a video, and I was like, you know what, let me just try and be here and be present with the family, enjoy that time. So that's what I did, but I can never forget about you, okay? I was working on something as soon as they left, believe me. This episode has been extremely highly requested because it is another episode that has been deleted on and off of streaming platforms and actually broadcasting on TV for a number of years. Something criminal happens, but we'll get to that at the end, okay? This is season 4, episode 2, Courtney and Isaac. Max is not here for this episode because he was actually off at the time filming his very first feature film with Zac Efron. I don't know very much about this movie, but what I do know is that it was not very well received, okay? I have not seen it myself. I have no intentions on seeing it personally, but it's with the old Zac Efron, you know, when he was kind of like in his prime. But our co-host this week is someone who I honestly did not even know existed. Her name is Cassidy Wolf. She is a pageant queen and she has her own internet trauma. But honestly, don't we all? A big part of the reason that she was picked is her trauma. So she seems very excited to be here, a little bit more excited than Neve is to have her here.
Oh my god, I can't believe we're doing this right now. Like, I can't believe I'm talking to you.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Which I feel like is going to make for a very interesting dynamic. I also feel like him being kind of standoffish with this beauty queen makes a little bit more sense as to why he was so standoffish when Cammie was brought on, because those are her words, he was in fact standoffish. So we start off the episode with Cassidy telling us about her internet trauma, where she was actually cyberstalked through the webcam on her computer. So this man, whoever he was actually able to get a live stream and a live feed of her whenever he wanted.
He had stalked me for a year in my room through the webcam on my computer.
Which is very scary, very, very scary. And it makes me think about how when I was in university back in the day, I saw a lot of people who had the tape over their cameras, and some people would make fun of it, but now you see why they were doing stuff like that. But this man, because he was watching her at any given moment, he was able to get a lot of intimate pictures of her, and he ended up blackmailing her with these pictures. He gave her 3 ultimatum options as essentially a trade for him deleting the photos, bringing this all to an end. And the first one was to video chat with him for 5 minutes and do whatever he said. The second was to Snapchat him. And the third was to send him better quality intimate pictures.
Be fucking for real.
Disgusting.
Men suck. Because what do you mean you're gonna end the blackmailing of the nudes by me giving you more nudes?
I am confusion.
What? She doesn't really clarify how all of this ended, how everything concluded, but she does tell us that the FBI got involved and the man is now in jail.
The FBI got involved, and now he's in prison.
Jeez.
We then get into reading the email from the casting office, not directly from the Catfish victim.
Damn.
And those are messy episodes. Whenever I say this a lot, because most of the episodes we cover are the messiest ones because y'all love the mess. I love talking about the mess, so here we are. But whenever the casting office gets involved, it's messy, it's confusing, and it's about to be a big old fat catfish mess, okay? Buckle in, strap in, we're about to dive into it. But the email says that a while ago, they got an application from a girl named Courtney who was asking for help with a guy named Isaac. But when they reached out to Courtney to get the process started, start the interviewing and all those sorts of things, she had absolutely no idea what they were talking about because she actually did not reach out to the show.
Courtney had never applied to Catfish.
She suspects that Isaac did it himself, which, what the hell? What the heliante? What the heliberry? I cannot stop saying that. If y'all don't know that TikTok, I don't know what to tell you. Get with it, okay?
What the heliberry? What the heli Brian James?
Doing all of this, instead of just coming clean about being a catfish, is very confusing. And it also feels like this person is going out of their way to get the attention of Catfish, the TV show, and of Courtney, which gives me a very uneasy feeling. Like, I definitely think some of the earlier episodes that they did, some of the earlier cases that they took on, I don't think they should have. I really don't, and I think this is going to end up being one of those things, one of those episodes.
Won't
Don't
do
you
it?
ever question me again,
That was a good
by
one.
the way.
But Courtney agrees to being on the show and agrees to speak to Neve, so she hops in the call with the beauty queen and Cassidy.
Wait, here she comes. Hello? Hi!
Hi.
So Courtney lives in a very small town in Georgia, which is near Catfish hotspot Atlanta. So again, not a very good sign. She says that she is a bartender and a single mom, but I don't think we ever find out her age or Isaac's age, which is interesting to me. I don't know why exactly they did that, but let's move on. Courtney says that she met Isaac on OkCupid. As they began talking, he was asexual and looking for a relationship. Courtney said that she thought that this was strange.
In my mind, I'm like, okay, this is strange.
But she gave him her number anyways. Okay. First things first.
Something realist.
Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I feel like there's about to be a lot of maybe controversial things said throughout this episode, so bear with me because we will definitely be unpacking it and talking about it. But first things first. When someone is asexual, it just means that they don't experience sexual feelings, desires, or sexual attraction from my understanding. But this does not mean that that person does not crave romance or romantic relationships. So the only thing that's strange to me at this point is that Courtney gave this online man her number when she was already feeling unsure about him. That's weird to me. If you have a gut feeling that it's like, I don't really want to talk to this person, something feels weird about the situation, don't give them your number. But if you think, oh, it's weird that he's asexual, you have some things to unpack within yourself. But eventually Isaac began asking Courtney to meet in person, so she agreed. Again, I don't know why you would do that if you have a strange feeling about him in the situation. But by the way she's describing it, it just sounds like she was going with the flow, not necessarily doing any of this because she wanted to, which is even more confusing to me personally. Now, after she had agreed to meet, Isaac sent Courtney a real picture of himself, and at first, Isaac tried to gaslight her into thinking he was absolutely the same person as the pictures on his dating profiles.
I called him out.
Be for real. These men don't look anything alike. It's not even close. And you know it's true if that's coming from me because I said the Kristen and Sarah episode that all those ladies look the same. But Courtney called him out on his BS, and she made it clear that she was no longer even remotely interested in him, talking to him, or meeting up with him. She cut him off. She says that she hadn't really thought about him or the situation until she heard from Catfish.
You got some splaining to do.
Contacting a reality TV show, pretending to be your former love interest to basically force her into meeting you after you exposed yourself as a liar is a very weird, extreme, and manipulative way of us getting your way. It's giving me the heebie-jeebies, and it seems like stalking. I don't understand why Catfish would go along with this. Take a shot every time I question why Catfish covered this episode. But Courtney says that she now wants to get to the bottom of things, and Cassidy hops right in, talking about her own experience, and does her best to relate her experience to Courtney's experience. I know very little about this episode, as with most episodes you guys request me to talk about, but I do know that people did have a very big issue with Cassidy as the co-host, and she never came back because she just insists on talking about herself at any given moment and her experience at any given moment, when that has nothing to do with Courtney or this specific episode. And this scene was our first little taste of that, methinks.
I had my computer and my webcam hacked into over a year ago.
And while I can understand why casting thought it would be a good idea for her to host this specific episode, I just don't know if this was really...
Be nice.
She wasn't very well received, and maybe you will understand why. Anyways, we hop off of the call and we head out to meet Cassidy and Courtney in person. We see a picture of Courtney's son on the fridge, and he is just so adorable.
Coben?
Oh, he's so cute.
He looks like a rock star baby somehow.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with the actual episode. I just thought you would also want to see the cute baby because I would want to see a cute baby. We move on. So Neve wastes no time getting into things. And he sums up asexuality in this way that is very ridiculous. It's very ridiculous.
You see in his profile that he doesn't ever want to have sex.
This statement to me is ridiculous because that's not what asexuality is. And again, if the hosts and the show and the network wanted to cover this episode, they should have been more educated. That's why it was ridiculous. And he then refers to Isaac as a quote-unquote lame guy for putting on his dating profile that he doesn't want sexual intimacy.
I'm about to have one of those moments.
I've said this before, and I will say it again. Neve, MTV, and the show should have done more personal education to be better informed if they are going to create episodes around LGBTQ plus stories and LGBTQ plus people. He's not quote unquote lame for making his sexuality known. He is very manipulative and creepy, but him being asexual has absolutely nothing to do with that. Courtney then tells us that after she called him on his catfish BS, Issak continued to harass her in an attempt to get her to agree to meet up with him. So he was just doing what he could to get her to meet up.
What?
No, we're not hanging out. He's like, are you sure? Is it still fine? Please tell me it's still fine and we can still hang out. I'm like, no.
Neve says it's very weird that he was so attached after only speaking to her for a couple of weeks. And I can agree with that, but then it makes me question, if she's telling you, yeah, the man essentially stalked me, why were y'all like, let's help the stalker fulfill his fantasy by meeting the person he's stalking.
Pause.
That's a terrible idea. Cassidy then hops in and says that she wants to hear him explain himself, and maybe he can give her answers as to why her guy did it to her too, so this will be good for the both of them.
I want to hear him explain everything. Maybe he'll give me some answers for why my guy did it to me too.
Girl, you're pissing me off. You are pissing me off. What? I'm really starting to understand why people were getting annoyed with you, because this is not about you. I don't think there's anything wrong with relating your personal experience in an attempt to comfort the person who you are supposed to be helping in the episode, but to make it about you is very weird.
Clock it.
Also though, in this moment, I noticed Cassidy was centering the men's perspective of all of it when Courtney is expressing how scary and concerning this is for her, and scary especially as a single mother. So to be like, yeah, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Could you read the room, please? We then see Isaac's profile, and it is honestly giving Catfish, like just from the bio alone. However, we then see that he was active that morning, which is like, what? What the hell? What the heliante? What the heli-berry?
What the hell is Cyrus?
So it does look like he is essentially out there doing the same thing to more people. The main profile picture looks like some sort of generic AI vibe of like, if you type attractive white man, that's what it looks like. It would probably come up. I'm not saying he's attractive. I'm just saying that's what ChatGPT would use. But the other pictures don't look like the main one. The interaction is abruptly ended and everybody heads out. Okay. But Courtney then mentions that it's good to have them here as they're leaving. And Cassidy just says that she's been through this, so she knows what it's like.
A girl.
The car debrief absolutely sucks. Cassidy just talks more about herself. So I'm going to do us all a solid and just skip on over that. Okay, we're skipping right over that. We get to investigating at a cute little cafe, or it might have actually been the same day because Cassidy is still wearing the same fuzzy vest. I don't really remember. Anyways, we start by reverse image searching the pictures that are on the main dating profile, and we get a hit right away. It comes back linked to a bunch of dating websites, like probably every single dating website that's out there.
A lot of hits on this picture.
And everything is just copy and pasted on every single profile. So it's essentially the exact same profile on a bunch of different sites over and over and over and over and over again. You know that one TikTok that's like, I feel like a Spanish, I feel like a Puerto Rican in this hair. That's what I was doing after I got it done.
I felt like a Spanish, like a Puerto Rican in this hair. Y'all know I loves me some Puerto Rican. I felt Puerto Rican in this. Rican!
Anyways. Neve then reverse image searches the picture that was sent directly to Courtney, and it comes back linked to an asexuality website. So it looks like Issak posted on the website in 2008 when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Still doing paint on the computer. Playing Neopets. Anyways. Issak on the website says that he was just happy to have found the community and is just trying to determine if he is asexual, and then he proceeds to say this.
I masturbate a lot. I only think about feet when I masturbate.
What did he say?
I don't really want to yuck anybody's yum, but that was interesting. I'll say that was interesting. We then take a look at the application that Issak sent into the show impersonating Courtney. He didn't leave an email, but he requested for them to call Courtney, but then left an email for Issak himself that used his full name, like his full government name.
Cut the show.
This guy wanted to be found so badly, he intentionally made the investigation super easy, which should have set off red flags to the cast and the crew. Personally, I would have been like, yeah, maybe we don't do this. Maybe we don't proceed with this anymore. Neve then searches the full government name that Issak left for them, And a Facebook page called GSU Problems pops up, which GSU is Georgia State University. So we actually see that Issak was on reality TV before, Judge Mathis specifically, and he sued a girl for rent that he loaned her in exchange for foot massages.
Suing a girl for not paying back rent he loaned her in exchange for foot massages.
So he essentially paid her to let her...
Lord have mercy.
Okay, let's try this again. He essentially paid her to let him give her foot massages. Again, I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum, but something about this situation feels very off to me. A girl named Carla in the comments is basically keying about how Issak is a piece of work. They decide to send Carla a message asking her to reach out to them. Someone else in the comments is saying that Issak is the weirdest guy he has ever met in his life. Issak apparently, allegedly, regularly posts ads on Craigslist to give free foot massages to girls. Again, I'm really not trying to yuck anybody's yum, but I would be lying if I didn't say that this sounds like the beginning of a Criminal Minds episode. The investigation is somewhat inconclusive, but Cassidy finally speaks, and I swear it's just air coming out of that head of hers. Just She says that it's so scary to hear from guys that Issak is creepy towards girls.
I'm concerned hearing from guys that he's creepy towards other girls is scary to me.
Be nice. I'm finding it. It take you that long to find it? It does.
Neve looks at her like, what the hell are you talking about? Because what the hell are you talking about? And I would also like to know because, what? So are you saying that the girls saying that Issak is being creepy was not enough proof? Or are you saying that he must have been really creepy if guys are saying he's creepy? Either way, it's centering men in a very weird way in a woman's experience. So now for sure it's the next day, and Neve and Cassidy are in the hotel, and they get a call from Carla. She says that Issak was just really strange. He started messaging her after they no longer worked together because they were co-workers at one point, but he no longer worked there, she still did. It sounds like he low-key began harassing her as well.
He kept trying to pursue talking to me even though I wasn't giving him any encouragement to do it.
And trying to pursue some sort of relationship with her, even though she made it very clear that she was not interested. She did not want that man. He actually showed up to the job to look for her when she started to ignore his messages, okay? So he's stalked somebody before.
Oh, they're going to prison.
All of this is just very weird, it's very inappropriate, and he seems like he just does not care about the other person's boundaries or wishes. Our hosts then head out to meet Courtney at an ice skating rink where her mom works. Everybody does a little bit of ice skating, a little quick ice skating.
Right.
And while this is happening, Neve is filling in Courtney's mom on what's going on and why they're there because she actually didn't know any of it, which is wild to me. Like, why would you, girl, why would you, why would you bring the whole Catfish crew and everybody out there when you didn't even tell your mother what was going on? Come on now. But they take their skates off, they go to the upstairs area that's usually at an ice rink, and they fill Courtney in on their investigation findings. So as they're doing so, Courtney actually tells us that Issak told her that he never masturbated.
Actually, he told me that he never did.
Which is a very wild lie to go out of your way to tell, especially when you put on the internet otherwise. But her face when she finds out about the foot fetish is, I'm sure, the same face so many of y'all had when you found out as well. Courtney then says that all of this is really scary, and Cassidy then says that she feels overwhelmed and she's shaky.
Whoa, it's making me really overwhelmed. It's making me shaky.
Girl, did you even ask Courtney how she's feeling?
You stupid.
Did you try to validate how she's feeling, or did you just make it about yourself?
Quickly.
Did you know you have 30 minutes, Cassidy? You have 30 minutes before I want you to get the up off my screen. When Courtney is expressing herself,
it's weird. This is weird. This is scary. Yeah.
Cassidy then says that she has been through it and centers herself and starts to talk about her experience. Instead of even attempting to comfort Courtney in the slightest, Cassidy begins to cry. Okay, here's the thing. I have no issue with you talking about your experience in an attempt to relate to someone to let them know that they're not feeling alone, that someone else has been through this and you're right there with them. However, I think Cassidy started to cross a line where she was making it about herself and the things that she clearly has not dealt with. And that's spilling over into this process that's supposed to be healing and focused on Courtney. That's where I think the problem is. If you're just like, yeah, I've been through this, and then you give your examples, you're like, so I can imagine how you're feeling. Do you want to tell me more about how you're feeling? That would be fine. That would be acceptable to me. But to talk about yourself, to center yourself, and you don't even ask her how she's feeling, like that's, I don't like that.
Am I right?
No.
Okay.
But the next day, so again, we're moving days, and Cassidy really loves these vests of hers. The next day, Neve and Cassidy are in their hotel room, and Neve says something that I can agree with finally this episode. I've been waiting. Gosh, why do you make it so hard sometimes? He says that nothing Isaac says is going to justify or explain away his actions.
There's not going to be any good explanation.
And I completely agree, which to me then poses the question, why are you trying to meet up with him still?
Quickly.
They give Courtney a call, and she sounds very down, which is understandable considering everything that's going on. But she says that she still does want to meet Isaac, so Neve agrees to try and set it up, gets off the phone with Courtney, gives Isaac a call. Isaac answers right away, and he sounds really excited to hear from Neve, which is weird and off-putting to me.
From the MTV show Catfish.
Oh, no way.
He claims that he and Courtney had deep conversations over the phone, and he wants their help to finally meet. Neve questions why he would think inviting Courtney on the show would be something she wanted to do, and Isaac claims that he didn't know how else to meet her, he didn't know what else to do.
I didn't really know how else to do it.
Oh, Lord.
AKA, okay, let me break it down for you. He didn't know how else to manipulate her and force her into doing what he wants, so he contacted the show. And the show said, okay. Neve then calls Isaac out a little bit and tells him that he's being obsessive, and Isaac gets defensive and says, well, what else was I supposed to do?
Borderline obsessive.
What else was I supposed to do?
Stop being a bitch.
Maybe respect people's boundaries. Maybe understand that women don't have to bend over backwards to cater to you. Maybe understand that women are allowed to have autonomy and make their own decisions. I don't know, maybe all of that, maybe. But what the f do I know? Isaac basically says that he got tired of being ignored, and since he didn't hire a private investigator or drive by her house, it's no big deal.
It's not like I hired a private investigator or drove by her house or anything.
What the f did you just say? I really don't think that they should have allowed him to meet her. I don't think that they should have presented that as an option. Like I think about in the later episodes, which ironically enough, it's with another Isaac, with Jacob and Isaac, they presented the option to Jacob and then they kind of walked it back because they're like, this is not good for you. I think the same thing should have been done for Courtney in this situation, because why are you playing into Isaac's sick, weird fantasy after he's basically explicitly told you that he's going to do whatever it takes to get to meet Courtney, even though she doesn't want to meet him.
They get it.
Okay.
But also, to me, this meeting, all it's going to do is validate his actions in his head, because he's going to get what he wants, which is to meet Courtney. Like, bringing a girl to meet and confront her stalker is not something the show is equipped to handle, especially not so early in its production. Like, I don't know why anyone thought this was a good idea. I don't know why nobody talked them out of it. But we move and we're going to talk about it. We then head over to Courtney's, and honestly, this look is a slay. Okay? Mwah, chef's kiss. The eyeshadow matching the denim shirt is just mwah, 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 mwah. Perfect.
Perfect. Hey, have a good day.
Y'all already know how I feel about a little color coordination, okay? Exhibit A, B, C. We love it. Courtney says that she is ready to meet and kind of just get this all over with. So they head out to meet him at a park, and everyone is on edge, which honestly makes sense considering the situation at hand. So they pull up at the park, and Isaac is there waiting for them, so they take their time heading over to meet him face to face. Cassidy, I will say, she redeemed herself a little bit in this moment for me, because she does a really good job of supporting Courtney and easing her concerns just right now.
As long as you guys are like right here.
Yeah.
It's just don't leave
We
me.
will, of course. We're gonna be here. It'll be okay.
I'm gonna give her, she gets a little clap, a little from me. When they do finally walk up to Isaac, he is just very weird. He's very awkward, but he seems very excited to be there, which is off-putting to me because it's like, you did a lot of messed up things. You shouldn't be excited right now.
And obviously, Courtney.
You look familiar.
But Isaac then says that he was almost a little bit misleading, which is complete and utter BS, okay? He was lying about who he was, and he claims that he did this because he was uncomfortable with putting real pictures of him online, so he used pictures that he thought were very similar to what he looked like.
I thought the picture looked similar enough to me that I could kind of get away with it.
Lord, may I never ever in my life be this delusional. Never, because this picture looks nothing like this man.
Are you delusional?
Are you delusional?
Isaac then says that he was dishonest, and he says that he would like to apologize. However, he doesn't actually apologize. He just says, I should probably apologize. I would like to apologize. Doesn't say sorry. He just keeps eerily licking and biting his lips while staring at Courtney.
And I have to apologize completely for that.
It's like he's getting off on this whole interaction, and I don't like that. Neve then brings up Isaac's sexuality, and Isaac says that it is rare, but he is looking for a non-sexual relationship with a lovely female. Neve, thank God, does not question this or make fun of him for this. I feel like there are a lot of things you could make fun of him for, but again, this is not one of them. Isaac then says that he is about to graduate for the 4th time, and he is currently working on his massage therapy license. This will be important later on, so keep this locked in your mind, okay? He says that he brings his massage table with him everywhere. It's in his car right now, and then he nods in the direction of his car suggestively.
I've had a portable table that I've used for years on a lot of friends. It's always in my car. It's in my car now.
Oh, okay.
Ew! This is very weird to me, and based on Courtney's facial expression, I can tell that she thinks it's very weird as well. Isaac then makes it clear that he understands that Courtney didn't want anything to do with him after he lied.
You done lost your damn mind.
So Courtney then calls him out, and she's like, okay, you don't see anything wrong with that? The fact that you knew that I didn't want anything to do with you, I made it clear, and yet here we are. Here we still are. Isaac then says that he usually doesn't lie because he's a bad liar.
You don't think that there's anything wrong with that?
This is why I usually don't lie, because I'm a bad liar.
Yeah, sure, Jan. In this moment, it is so clear that he is not taking this seriously, but also that he has no intentions on being straightforward and answering anything, because how does her saying, yeah, don't you realize that it's a problem that you recognize I wanted nothing to do with you and you still kind of bamboozled me into being on the show? He said, yeah, I don't usually lie. Who said that?
Who's asking you that?
Neve is like, okay, whatever. But didn't you think impersonating Courtney and contacting the show on her behalf was a bit obsessive? And Isaac finds yet another way to justify his clear violation of her boundaries. And then he does it again by saying that Courtney isn't talking enough to him.
Y'all are the only ones wanting to talk. I want her to get to know me more.
Isaac, shut the up. Shut up. Shut up. God damn, just shut your mouth. Like, that's so weird. For you to basically force this interaction and then be like, yeah, but actually she's not talking enough to me because she doesn't want to talk to you at all. How about that? How about that? You weirdo.
You're tapped or you're deranged.
But Neve, Courtney, and Cassidy then walk away to talk amongst themselves. This also makes it clear that no one is comfortable being alone and talking to Isaac, because usually one host will go with each person, but this time they both went with Courtney. Courtney says that it's clear that Isaac doesn't understand or he doesn't care about how serious this is and essentially what he's doing. He doesn't get that you cannot force anybody to be in your life.
You can't force them, drag them kicking and screaming.
And Neve encourages her to say that to Isaac. However, I feel like no matter what Courtney does, Isaac is just going to become more obsessive. If she talks more, he's going to think that she wants him. And if she doesn't talk, then he's going to continue his extreme measures to get her attention. It's a lose-lose situation for her no matter what, and a win-win situation for Isaac, which it shouldn't be. But we then cut to a scene of Isaac, how dare I confuse the two, of Isaac talking to production and cameramen, because they're of course still filming him while all of this is going on, and he's asking where Max is because he wants to meet him, and jokes about needing to do the reunion show so they can meet.
Come on, I want to at least meet him. Guess we'll have to do the reunion show, I mean.
Bombastic side eye.
Max would have literally destroyed this guy. Of course, this is an episode they filmed when Max was away. But again, this also confirms something that I thought and said earlier, that all of this, or at least most of it, was about attention for Isaac. He doesn't care how this will make him look in the end or how he gets caught up because of it. Just like that serial killer who went on a dating show, I think it was in the 70s, while he was actively still killing people. To me, it gives the same vibe. But the trio then meet back up with head Mr. Stalker himself, and Courtney says that after Isaac lied, she just was not interested. She makes it clear that there's absolutely no chance of even a friendship after he impersonated her and just began to invade her life in every way. Isaac says that he owes her an apology, but again, he doesn't actually apologize, and it's his loss because Courtney is wonderful, but he claims that he won't try and contact her any further.
But I won't make any attempt to, that's for certain.
I don't personally believe this to be true whatsoever. I don't, but that's what he said, and I gotta tell you what he said. Courtney then says that if Isaac is honest, then there is a chance that he will find the sort of relationship that he is looking for. Only then, after she praises him and tells him he's going to get what he wants, does he actually apologize and ask for forgiveness.
There might be hope for you in the future to find someone.
All I can really ask for at this point is for forgiveness.
But then he gets creepy again and says that he gives great massages and tries to essentially persuade her into getting a massage from him, which is like, sir, who asked you that? Like, ugh. But the way he's talking about massages and massaging women and trying to massage Courtney repeatedly, it's giving that he gets off on massaging women in general, which makes me very uncomfortable. I can't lie. Like, I would not want my massage therapist to be turned on or getting off while I'm in such an extremely vulnerable position.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
But Neve just makes it clear that Courtney will not ever be a client of his, and then they head out. Neve and Cassidy praise Courtney for the way that she handled it, say that she was very kind to him, and her statement about wishing him well was very impactful.
Be nice.
And while, yes, all of those things are true, I think it's frustrating that she was in the position to have to do that. Like, even at the confrontation, he's still violating her boundaries and making her very, very uncomfortable. In the car, Cassidy makes the situation about herself and begins to cry because she says that Isaac reminded her of her stalker. Maybe Cassidy needed a little bit more healing before coming onto this show, because I don't think she needed to make this moment about herself. That doesn't seem right, doesn't seem fair to me personally. I want to be clear, I'm not minimizing anything that Cassidy went through. It must have been extremely traumatic to be in that predicament, to be in that situation, and then to sort of be re-triggered and traumatized by being a host of this episode. However, I do think that most of the focus this episode was on Isaac and it was on Cassidy, when it should have been on Courtney, because this was her experience, and one of the closest people in her life, her mom, didn't even know what was going on. So it just feels unfair that this episode was about everybody, basically, except for Courtney. But she says because of her stalking experience, she always has her guard up, so she doesn't know if she believes anything Isaac has to say. There's no reason to believe anything Isaac has to say, to be completely honest with you. But Courtney says that she has no desire to speak to Isaac anymore whatsoever, but Neve still wants to, so that means Cassidy will as well. So the next day, they meet Isaac at a coffee shop. Then they formally introduce Cassidy and explain why she is here hosting this episode, and she talks about her stalker now being in prison.
Let me tell you something.
Isaac then tries to distance himself from her stalker and acts like he would never do that.
I hope you don't look at me the same way you look at that guy. Never in a million years do anything like that.
The lies! There you go, this bitch. I'm telling you.
Despite the fact that he was already doing a lot of the same things her stalker was doing. He was violating boundaries. He was going out of his way to force a meetup. Like, the elements were the same, but the outright actions were slightly different. Only after this, trying to distance himself and Cassidy's stalker, Isaac admits to being wrong for using a fake photo, but at this point, that's the least of anyone's concerns. Nobody really cares that you were catfishing that much, which you know you had to have been doing some crazy for Neve to not care that you were really catfishing. But Isaac then acts like he was not stalking Carla, the one who he worked with, and he makes it seem like it was all just an innocent misunderstanding. A lying liar who lies. He says, and I quote, that things can easily get misunderstood with girls sometimes and they over-exaggerate.
Things can easily get misunderstood with girls sometimes.
Weird. Keep that statement in mind for later, okay? Neve then brings up the Judge Mathis episode where he was paying for the feats, and Isaac says that because he's from a very small town, everyone always has something bad and negative to say. I'm really just flabbergasted at this man continually acting like nothing is his fault ever. How is nothing ever your fault? He's acting like we didn't just witness him cross so many of Courtney's boundaries. Like, am I missing something? Nevy's like, yeah, but what about the foot stuff? Hello, the foot stuff. Like, what are you talking about? And Issak claims that he brought up being a massage therapist, but he never actually massaged that girl's feet. Neve says, so you didn't give her money in exchange for giving her a foot massage? And Issak says, no, I never gave her money. It was a loan.
The money in exchange for her letting you massage her.
Well, I never gave her the money. It was a loan.
Don't piss me off.
You seem like a liar, Squidward.
Don't piss me off. You're trying to get out of this conversation based on a technicality?
Be fucking for real.
Okay. All right. What the ever, I guess. But a producer suggests a little break, so they do that, and then they move the conversation to inside the little cafe. Issak then discusses his asexuality, and he says that he noticed he wasn't really like his friends when he was growing up. He says that he didn't really want to date, and he thought people only slept together for reproductive purposes, but not for pleasure.
I didn't know about sex till I was almost 20. I thought it was just a way of having a baby.
He says that his parents never gave him the birds and the bees conversation, and he was fairly hidden from sexual content in general. It feels like the second part of the conversation with Issak and just the hosts, like, feels like some sort of redemption arc. I don't know why they tried to give a stalker a redemption arc, because Issak then says, and they're playing like the inspirational music in the background, he says that no matter what you are, you need to embrace who you are.
But regardless of what you are, whatever you identify as, you need to embrace it.
Okay, this is a good and valid message. It's just coming from the worst possible messenger. The issue with Issak is not that he is asexual, and I think he is going out of his way to try and make that the issue. Nobody said, at least to your face, that that was the issue. The issue is that he's a stalker, he is creepy, he's very manipulative, and he keeps finding every which way to say others are to blame for the previous 3 things I just mentioned. Cassidy then praises him for accepting himself, but then says that it's also important to respect women's boundaries.
Be aware and to read when a girl doesn't want that contact.
He thanks them for their time, and then everyone goes their separate ways. Neve and Cassidy in the car, they talk about how they felt good about that interaction, and I don't think they should.
Damn.
I don't think they should. All you did was this weird humanization, and you didn't really hold him accountable. You didn't really hold his feet to the fire for the things that he was doing. So, and because he was able to justify everything and you didn't push back on that, I think he thinks he's justified in his actions. That's what I think. I don't think anything's going to change for this man. I think it's only going to escalate. But in our 3-month follow-up, Courtney says that she has not heard from Issak and she doesn't think things could have gone any better. She says that she has sworn off dating online and she is now focused on her son, which I'm surprised that he hasn't tried to contact her. I really thought he was going to. But when Issak hops on the video chat, the first thing he says is, oh, still no Max.
Oh, still no Max? No offense, Cassidy, I'm just saying.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
I really don't like this guy. I really don't like this guy. But Issak claims that he has removed the fake pictures from his dating profiles and he is showing up as himself online. He says that things are going well for him and he asks if they will bring him back for the reunion show.
Is there any hope of me making the reunion show?
Do you want to get beat the fuck up, bitch?
We listen and we judge.
Issak, if you don't get the out of my face right now, boy, bye. But y'all, it is time for us to talk about why this episode was deleted. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is yet another episode that has been repeatedly removed from streaming platforms and on-air rotation over the past couple of years, but for a very good reason. And even though Catfish or MTV has not stated that this is the reason, this is very clearly the reason in my opinion, okay? After the show aired, for a number of years, Issak continued to violate women in the worst possible way. He did this by sexually touching himself or women during massages or job interviews. Despite these women coming forward, very little was done about it. It was not taken very seriously. Issak was not charged for the longest time, and his license was not taken away or even brought under suspicion until a local news station did an expose of sorts. They decided to give a voice and a platform to the victims of Issak, to the survivors of Issak, and only then, after they brought this attention towards Issak and what he was doing, to the absolutely disgusting, reprehensible, and immoral behavior of Isaac's, was he formally charged and arrested in 2021. He was hit with over 15 charges in Tennessee.
He's accused of sex crimes against more than a dozen Middle Tennessee women.
He was charged with 1 count of identity theft, 1 count of criminal impersonation, 6 counts of assault, offensive or provocative contact, 8 counts of sexual battery without consent, 1 count of without consent, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, 2 counts of harassment causing emotional distress, and 1 count of impersonation of a licensed professional. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, it sounds like he continued to do everything he was doing in the episode and it escalated. So prior to being found guilty of any of these charges, Issak was arrested and he was let out on bond. While on bond, he was able to move to Atlanta to take care of his sick mother, okay, because he's such a saint. However, while he was out on bond, he violated the terms of his release. He was using Facebook when he wasn't allowed to, but also while in Atlanta, Issak was online still offering free massages to women, multiple different women.
Hayes is now the 3rd Atlanta woman to report to police troubling behavior by Menturi, and they join more than a dozen Middle Tennessee women who tell WSMV4 Investigates that Menturi committed sex crimes against them during massages or job interviews, crimes the Atlanta women say he never discloses.
And you would think that that would be the thing that got his bond revoked and put him back in jail. But no, it didn't, because a judge ruled that him trying to give free massages out to women was not in violation of his bond.
What? Bitch, go to hell. Go to motherfucking hell.
This is very confusing to me, because if he is using massages to assault women, how is this not a clear indicator that he has not changed and that he is still actively looking to get his rocks off?
Make it make sense.
So he sexually rapes women, harms them when they're in his contact for massages. Him going online, trying to get more women to give massages, that's not a violation of his bond? And more women actually came forward about Issak assaulting them while he was on bond in Atlanta after he'd already been charged with sexual assault and rape. What the But Issak would go on to be found guilty of 1 act of criminal impersonation, 3 counts of sexual battery without consent, and 2 counts of assault, offensive or provocative contact. It appears that he is currently still incarcerated and he has to be registered as a sex offender. Some of the charges he was found guilty of were misdemeanors while others were felonies. I didn't take the time to fully read through the court transcripts and everything, so I don't know how long he's actually going to be in jail, but when I was taking the notes for this video, he is currently still in jail. I could honestly do a whole video about everything that Issak did and all of the ways that I think that Catfish put the battery in his back to continue doing the things that he was doing and escalate them. So if that's a video you're interested in, I can definitely do that. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying that Catfish is responsible 100% for Isaac's actions. The only person who's responsible for Isaac's actions are Issak. The only person to blame is Issak. However, do I think that the show was not capable of handling this topic and dealing with somebody such as Issak? Absolutely. Do I think that they validated him in ways that he didn't need to be validated? Absolutely. Do I think that he wasn't held accountable on national TV by people who he looked up to in high regard, so he felt less remorse about what he was doing? Absolutely. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So while I don't think that Catfish is 100% is responsible to blame for Isaac's actions, I also don't think that him being on the show and him being the focus of this episode, I don't think it deterred him in any way either. I think if they were going to bring Issak onto the show, then they had a moral obligation to do better, to bring someone in who is actually qualified to handle him. But because bringing a stalker to meet their stalking victim and allowing him to explain away and justify his actions without true accountability is not going to do anything productive. So I think that they had a little bit more of they had a bigger responsibility to do better if they were going to cover this episode and bring Issak on. I honestly just think that they shouldn't have done this episode. I don't think that they should have platformed Issak in any way. But I I'm absolutely disgusted. I hope that the women who were violated and harmed by Issak feel some sort of retribution and are able to get the healing that they deserve. Because again, I cannot imagine putting your trust in somebody who you think is a licensed professional only for them to harm you. When you get a massage, you're practically naked. It's so easy for someone to take advantage of you, but of course you're not going into that situation thinking they're going to take advantage of you. You're thinking, I'm going to release some stress and some tension from my body only to be assaulted, only for your assault, your harassment to not be taken seriously until people are forced to pay attention to it because a local news outlet decides to give you a platform. There's so much wrong with this, and I feel like everything that Issak did post the episode is just a real reminder that obviously reality TV is for entertainment. We do watch it for entertainment purposes, but I do think the production and the network and the hosts need to be more selective about the cases that they take on, because oftentimes you're not equipped, you don't really hold people accountable to the fullest extent, and they go on to do much worse things after they leave the show because you sort of validated them in the process. So that's why this episode has been deleted on and off. I'm sure it might be on some streaming platform. Obviously, it was on one that I was able to watch it on, but that's what Issak has been up to since the show aired. I thank you so much for watching. After talking about something as heavy as sexual assault and rape, it feels very weird to ask you to like, subscribe, and share the video. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to leave some resources down in the comments for anybody who might be experiencing any of these things, who might need a little bit more support. I thank you so much for being here. I thank you for listening, for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.